Very interesting topic this morning. It's something that has always fascinated me. And yes, a lot of these disorders, these mental health issues, they have always fascinated me pretty much my entire life, because I've always been pretty normal as a person. I behave in such a normal way. I respond the correct way. I mean, I'm not perfect, of course. I have ups and downs sometimes. But all of these things that are going on in the world, of course, they do fascinate me. And one of the things that really is a phenomenon in today's world, and something that really fascinates me a lot, is the topic of stalking. Because as many of you may know, yes, I have been a target, a victim of stalking in many situations throughout my life, where for no reason at all, people just want to come after me. Because that's the reality of it. There is no justification for stalking. I mean, unless someone has stolen something that belongs to you, of course, that's a completely different situation altogether. Like if someone stole your money or a material possession, of course, naturally, you're going to want to go after them and get it back. But you're going to do it the right way. You're not going to go running out like a vigilante, of course. You might deal with it through the police or through the courts, but even that, as we know, all of these things are run by narcissists. But yes, do narcissists become stalkers overnight? No, of course not. It's not so much to do as you think. You may think that for whatever reason they have this attachment to you, they can't let go, and then that turned them into a stalker. But no, in actuality, they were already like that all along. They already had that tendency within them. And this is probably something that they've learned in childhood, where they didn't have a strong attachment to their parent or caregiver. They didn't feel that bond. It's like something was missing, they were deficient in something, and because of that, they're forever chasing after it for the rest of their lives. And you can see it in the way that they parentify you. They hold you up to be their parent or caretaker, this person to make things right, this person to regulate their emotions by being this, like playing this actor, this role that they want you to play, where it's like you're constantly in this theater. And it's like 1 minute you have to be happy, you have to smile. And the next minute, sad. Then you're crying. Then you're excited. And they just have to run you through all of the different emotions, which, to be quite honest, they should have experienced that in their childhood. And of course, I'm not saying that if you did experience those things in your childhood from your parent or caregiver, that now you should just never experience that again, and you just have to be completely emotionless and everyone else around you needs to be that way as well. No, of course not. But it's not going to become this obsession where it affects your daily life and you're going out of your way just to get that response, which is what these narcissists do, of course, as we know. So no, they do not become stalkers overnight. Of course not. This is something that has been going on with them for a very long time, and it will continue to be that way. That's not going to change because they don't know how to resolve it in their minds. So they're always going to be like that. They're always going to be that way, where they're going out trying to seek a response from you, because, and again, that is not a completely bad thing. That's not something to be ashamed of. If you are seeking even attention, validation from other people, it's what you're using it for. But the way they do it, it's completely different. They're seeking it in a way where this defines themselves, how they see themselves. Their entire reality is just based on your response, your view of things. Now that is not healthy at all. But this is how they operate, this is how they function, this is how they do things. Got Nala here enjoying the balcony. She likes to see the view. But I have to watch her sometimes when she pokes her head out of there. As you can see, it's a long way down. So yes, this is what they do, and this is what they were destined to do, because they always had a tendency to do that. And I mean, it is pretty obvious when you look at it. What are they doing? They're stalking. They're trying to get from A to B. So they're clearly trying to achieve something from dealing with you. They're trying to get something out of you. And I don't know what that might be. It could be a response. It could be your validation. Maybe they want something from you. It could be your money. A lot of times it is something sexual that you've riled up inside of them. But at the same time, they feel like it's something they're never going to have. And that is why they become stalkers, where they're just constantly on your case. Because they've already made it up in their minds. They know, all right, I know I accept there is nothing that I can do to change this situation. There is nothing that I can do to get the result that I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to become a stalker. And I'm going to try and pin this person down and force them to do what I want them to do, or to feel what I want them to feel. Yes, believe it or not, that is what is going on in their minds. That's why it's all of this coercion, it's all force. And sometimes it's intimidation if they can't attract or entice you in the way that they would like. Or if they think they can't do that. But yeah, a lot of this, it does really come from low self-esteem, insecurity. Because I know in myself, when I look at myself in my own mind, if I want something, of course, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get it. I'm not going to force anyone to do something they don't want to do. I'm not going to come around like a creepy little guy, not making my intentions obvious. Of course, it is on the other person whether or not they're able to receive that, based on whether or not they are secure within themselves. But other than that, for me, no, I don't need to be a stalker at all. If I want something, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get it. And of course, that doesn't mean I have to develop this grandiose sense of entitlement where I can have anything I want. No, of course not. If I want something from another person and it's something that does not belong to me, then of course it is up to the other person whether or not I can have it. And if I can't have it, I just have to accept it. That does not mean that I'm going to become a stalker. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be constantly on their case. In fact, I'll just do the opposite. I'll just leave them alone and completely forget about them. And I probably won't even have a single thought about them for the rest of my life, knowing that they do not want me or desire to have, whether it's a future with me, it could be something short term, whatever it is, knowing that they don't want or desire anything to do with me. It's so easy. Just cut them off, because I'm assuming that's exactly what they want. But of course, as we know, there are a lot of weirdos out here where, yes, they secretly want and desire you, but they're also on this ego trip where it's like you have to get down on your knees and you have to validate them and do all of this crazy stuff, when in a lot of these situations it actually doesn't matter what you do in an attempt to please them. You can do everything exactly how they want you to do. You can jump through all of the hoops and they will still reject you and turn it around as you're the creepy one, you're the stalker, when in fact I can tell you that in a lot of these situations they wanted you all along as well. But it was more fulfilling, more satisfying for them to switch it around on you and to cut you off and to make you feel like you're nothing. It was more satisfying for them to do that because they look at you. If you're a person like me, you have this kind of attitude where it's like, yes, if I want something, I am going to go out and I'm going to get it. If you have that type of mentality, a lot of people, they're not going to like you because they don't have that type of mentality. Of course, there's things that they want, but they're not going to go out and get it. And of course, you can see that by the way they treat you when they do desire or want something with you, and yet they still reject you. And this is part of the problem with a lot of them, because yes, they want something from you, but they can't get over their own egos, their own feelings of self-importance, which is actually a compensate for their insecurities and deficiencies. And because they can't get over that, even though they do want something with you, they will reject you, and then they will become stalkers, voyeurs, where they are secretly watching you, and then they're trying to egg you on to become an exhibitionist because that's what they really want. And I find that really sad. I really do. These voyeurs, and you know, there's a lot of these people out there these days, these cucks. They have this fetish and they genuinely enjoy just watching. They get off on that. And I bet, sorry if this offends anyone, but I want to say the truth. I bet a lot of them would honestly get off on just watching you have sex with someone else, or even just you masturbating by yourself. I genuinely believe that a lot of them would get off on that a lot more than actually doing it with you themselves. And yes, this is another thing that fascinates me, something that I could never understand, because for me, it is far more satisfying to share it with another person. It really is, instead of just watching them with someone else or having to do it on my own. Yes, for me, it is far more satisfying to have that connection and to know that someone else wants it, someone else is enjoying it just as much as I am as well. But for these types of people, it's almost like it becomes a fetish to them after a while. And I'm talking about this based on my experience, what I've seen from people who have been stalking me for a very long time. It's almost like they automatically know that you're going to resist them, and they actually get off on that resistance. It doesn't do anything for them to have you in a position with them where you both let that go and just whatever's going to happen happens. Just to let it play out by chance, to let it play out naturally, that doesn't do anything for them. And yes, of course, this is the result of childhood trauma. And yeah, it's really bad. It's not healthy at all. You're not supposed to desire these types of things. You are meant to desire the exact opposite: intimacy, connection, vulnerability. Not shutting yourself off and finding pleasure in resisting someone. Finding pleasure in making someone resist you. But you know what? I think that's actually not what they want. It's just a lot of times it's either them and they don't know how to let go of their resistance. Maybe they feel like they don't deserve it. Maybe they know they're not really going to enjoy it. Or maybe they think that no matter what they do, you're going to resist them because you're not really attracted to them. Because they already know that you want something else or something more. So even in those situations, they already know that even if they did give it to you, yes, it might make you feel good, but it's not going to be fulfilling for them because they already know that you're still going to be desiring something with someone else. Yes, I understand this topic is very confusing. And yeah, it's something that's fascinated me for a very long time because, of course, I do look at people in situations and I wonder, why can't you just get it together? Why can't you just let that go? This need to be important. This need to be superior. You don't want to get triggered. You don't want to be forced to accept your feelings of insecurity. That's the only thing that you have to do. Because when you do that, you will develop this mindset like I have, where it's like, if I want something, yes, I am going to go out and I'm going to get it. And no, I am not afraid of rejection. I'm not afraid of being vulnerable. I'm not afraid of letting go of my pride and ego and connecting to my soul. Because when you do that, when you connect to your soul rather than your ego, it does not even matter if you get rejected. It doesn't matter if no one wants you. It doesn't matter if the entire world turns against you. None of that matters at all when you connect to your soul rather than your ego. Because yes, it is your ego that has this need to feel important, and then you are going to be very sensitive to criticism and rejection. So I think that pretty much wraps it all up. That's the issue that these people have, is it's their ego. This need to feel important, and honestly, I think it's because some trauma in their childhood. Maybe they got rejected by someone like you before, and they don't want that to happen again. Now they want to be on the other end of it. And not only that, but I genuinely believe that a lot of these people actually could not even experience it. I genuinely do believe that they can't experience these things in the way that we can. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about it, because you don't have that same level of sensitivity when you're connected to your ego rather than your soul. When you connect to the soul, everything is so much more fulfilling, when you raise your vibration. You just look at things, and I've had this experience myself many times. It's like you look at the trees and the birds, and it's like, wow, everything is so beautiful. Everything's so amazing. It's almost like you've smoking a joint, but you haven't. It's more of a natural vibe to it. It doesn't feel bad or wrong. But yes, it is that sensitivity that they're missing, and the reason why they're missing it is because they can't be vulnerable. And they can't be vulnerable because they're too much connected to their ego and their pride, rather than their soul and just being themselves. Because that's pretty much it. When you're connected to your ego rather than your soul, then you're not being yourself. You're not being yourself at all, and not being yourself is not attractive to normal, real people. So naturally that will make us resist. And when we are resisting it, maybe sometimes we're just trying to make a joke of it, we're trying to just laugh at it. We're just trying to tell the other person, yes, just let your hair down, yes, just be yourself. Maybe then we can actually connect. Maybe then this will be something that I don't resist. It may actually be something that I do want. But try getting these types of people to understand that. Because no matter what you try and do with them, it's not going to work. You try and tell them, oh, you just have to connect to your soul rather than your ego. Just don't think about it too much. Don't overthink. You just assume that everything is going to be okay. You're not going to get hurt. You know what a narcissist is going to think automatically? Oh, you're trying to manipulate me. You're trying to get one over on me. You're trying to cheat me. You're trying to lead me down the wrong path so you can get something out of me at my expense. Like I said, there's just nothing you can do with them. There really isn't. You can try. It's just not going to work. They have it set in their minds that they're not going to get the result they want by letting things go, by letting things play out by chance. So they're always going to be attached to their egos. And neither of you are going to feel fulfilled with that interaction. You're going to feel fulfilled when you walk away, when you try and get away from the stalker and you come back into your own space and you connect to yourself and your own sense of happiness and fulfillment. Yes, you will feel fulfilled then. But as long as you're around these types of people, there won't be any fulfillment for you. You might get a little bit in the moment. Even then, you're just kind of entering the fantasy of the delusion. You're being manipulated, you're being deceived. And for them, there really is no fulfillment at all. When they're watching you, I mean, of course, you know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I am just going to put it out there and say, a lot of these people, they put track devices in your car. They're watching you through the cameras in your phone, your laptop, your computer, even cameras in your home, apartment, wherever you live, maybe even cameras in your car, and they're listening on all of your microphones and your devices as well. So yes, they are constantly watching you, and these things are kind of, obviously they're bringing them some level of gratification to where it develops into addictions. Because if it didn't, they wouldn't even do it in the first place. They're not going to keep doing something that makes them feel bad. So that is how you already know that, yes, they are shame-based people who are doing everything they can to avoid reflecting on their shame. And that is why whenever you come around them, you always feel ashamed of yourself, as though you're doing something bad or wrong, because they're deflecting their own shame onto you, when in actuality what you're doing is not wrong at all. What you're doing is fine. And yes, they do feel the shame, and they also feel that they're not really getting what they want from you. Yes, they do want more, and that is why they're constantly on your case. Because if it really was that satisfying for them, maybe they'd stalk you once a month, once a year. Clearly they're not getting off in the way that they would like, because I'm sure stalkers in your situation, they're on you every day. They're never leaving you alone. And it's like you can't get any peace by yourself. And they make you feel like you're bad, wrong, or crazy for just desiring to have some time by yourself. As though that's a problem now. Or maybe you're desiring some connection because you're being gang stalked, you're being isolated, you just want something real. And that's a problem. That's something to shame you for. It's like, haha, you can't get what you want. No, you need to turn that around and see, you are the ones who are bad. You are the ones who are crazy. You are the ones who are wrong. Because all I want is something normal, something real. And you need to put it out as though, yes, to be honest, if you haven't got that, then I don't want it. Or at least, it's got to be something that it's just in the moment kind of thing. I mean, that's really the only way that you can survive in these worlds, these realities that they create, is by at times taking that blue pill and just letting go of your resistance to the fake world and to all of these false characters that you're surrounded by, and just being like, okay, we got one night, 1 hour, whatever it is, maybe a couple of days if you can last that long. Let's just do what we're going to do, but we're both going to get something out of it. So, you know, let's just cooperate in this instance. And yeah, sometimes it can work like that, where you do delve into the fantasy yourself. I mean, of course, I've spoke about this in my past videos. Fantasy is not bad. Imagination is not bad. It can actually be very healing. It can help you. Just don't let it overwhelm you and take over you to the point where you begin to act these things out in reality, because that's the problem. I mean, if you're imagining these things in your mind, it's not so bad. I mean, we're getting into like fetishes and sexual fantasies now. It's kind of like, where do we draw the line? And that all depends on your own self-control and discipline. And you should know yourself. It depends if you know who you are. And if you're able to control yourself, because, you know, I understand a lot of these things. These are things that I actually have no interest in myself. But of course, I'm aware of it. That yes, there are these things. And they're actually very popular these days as well. You've got like 50 Shades of Grey, BDSM, and there's things where they tie people up, they chain them. And what else? There's even rape fantasies as well, for both men and women. You know, it's on both sides. I mean, there's all of these different kinds of things. And yeah, that's fine in your imagination if that's what you're thinking about. And of course, we all deserve to have a safe space in our heads where we can have this creativity and imagination. Of course, that's very healthy, not only to ourselves, but to the people around us as well. But then these people need to know when to draw the line when it gets out of hand, when these thoughts lead to actions in reality, where suddenly now they've become a stalker. And you've made it clear that you don't want anything to do with them, and they're still coming after you, to where it's pretty much become rape. I mean, that is when people need to know to draw the line. And anyone, I'm not judging you. If you do enjoy BDSM, maybe the women, you have a fantasy of being raped, being forced to do something you don't want to do, being on the receiving end of it, being submissive to a powerful man, like in 50 Shades of Grey. Of course, there was a time where I couldn't really understand it. I was quite fascinated about it. But I get it, I understand, and I think that, yes, there was a time, maybe many thousands or millions of years ago, where that was the reality, where maybe a caveman would just beat a woman over the head, just chuck her on his back and take her back to his cave and just do what he needed to do. So I would assume that that's where that fantasy came from. And maybe that's how it is for men as well. But as I said, if it's a fantasy, it's in your imagination. No one can really judge you for that. That's, of course, that would be wrong of me to judge you for the thoughts you have in your head. Doesn't matter what you're thinking about. Doesn't matter if you're having murder fantasies after abuse. Doesn't matter how extreme it is. It's perfectly okay as long as it's a fantasy, it's in your imagination, as long as it's not playing out into reality where you are seeking to harm someone or gain at their expense. That is when it becomes a problem. And I'm sure many of you can resonate with this, as I have in the past. A lot of things that we think about, we want to do it, but deep down we know we shouldn't do it, and we're not going to do it because we know that it's wrong. But of course, as we know, gang stalkers, narcissists, they do lack discipline and self-control. And it is completely insane how the thought, the fantasy that they have in their mind, it becomes something real in reality. And how they're actually going out and they're doing it, they're playing it out in real life. And they do it so much, and they deny that it's a problem because their narcissism, their fantasy is more important than anything. They block everything out. They end up blocking out reality. And they create this false character, this fake world where nothing that they do is wrong. They don't have to be accountable for anything because it isn't even real. They're not real. You're not real. It's scary. It's scary, it's creepy, and it is cringy. Yes, it is cringy as well. It's one of those things where it's just like, ugh, like you touch something, you touch something dirty and disgusting. Like, I don't know, there could be like bird shit here. I put my hand on that and it's like, ugh. Now I gotta go and wash my hands because I feel dirty, I feel disgusting just to even be around it. And again, yes, that is how you should think, how you should feel. When you see these things manifested into reality, if it's just something in someone's head, these thoughts they're having. I mean, if someone came to me, of course, I've experienced this with my clients. I've been doing this now for 5 years. So if someone came to me and they told me about their fantasy, you know, these things in their imagination, and I don't care what it is, it could be anything at all. It could be a rape fantasy. They may fantasize about murdering their ex-wife, their ex-husband. Maybe it could be something to do with robbery, stealing something. It could be anything. Regardless of what it is, the first thing I would do and recognize, the first thing that would be completely obvious to me is that, okay, this person clearly clearly has a lot of discipline and self-control. That's the first thing that comes to my head when I think about that. So yes, this is something that we can talk about, and that we should talk about. As long as it hasn't got to the point where they've created a false character, an alter ego, and now they're using this world, real life, and they've turned it into their own alternate reality, then it's become a problem. Now you can't communicate with someone like that now. And they can't communicate with you now because it's blown up out of proportion so much, where it's like, if you had to go and create a false character and a fake world to protect and defend yourself against something like that, then clearly the problem is with you. And sometimes you have to look at yourself as well. That this goes both ways. If you do genuinely desire to be a healthy, sane, normal, functional person, you will at some point look at yourself and think, okay, have I created a false character? Have I created a world inside my mind and I'm trying to pull other people into it? And is that harmful? Is that not healthy? Of course, you have to look through all of these things and analyze it within yourself. If you are a generally healthy, normal, functional, real person, you will accept that it does go both ways. You won't just put the onus on just the other person. You will look at yourself as well. It's not all just about pointing the finger and blaming everyone else. It's about taking accountability for where you find yourself in life. But as I said, gang stalkers, and this is what it is as well, and it's absolutely insane, but a lot of the things why they go out and they stalk people, it's because it's not really because of anything you've actually done. It could just be something like a thought that you're having in your mind. You're thinking of doing something, maybe you feel like doing something. You're not actually going to go out and do it though, are you? And yet they're looking at it like it's more than what it is, when it's part of being a normal, healthy person is recognizing that yes, people do have fantasies in their minds, things that may seem quite insane. What's in your mind can seem insane, illogical, irrational, emotional, all of these things. And yes, that is still perfectly normal. It doesn't matter if you're having fantasies of murder, rape, whatever it is, all of these things, it's perfectly okay. And in fact, it's only not okay if you think it's not okay. Yes, you need to accept that these thoughts are fine. Because when you accept them and you let go of the resistance to them, watch how that feeling subsides. Watch how that feeling subsides. It's only when it's like these people, they know, yes, murder, rape, all of these things, they're bad, they're wrong. But then they're resisting it. They're trying to fight against it. And they're like, no, it's not wrong, it's not bad. They're trying to deflect the shame instead of processing it. That is what causes them to go out and actually do it. Which is why with my clients, when they come to me, people who have been through narcissistic abuse, they've been through hell. Of course, they're going to have these fantasies of wanting to kill the narcissist. I mean, of course, I've had these fantasies myself many times. I can completely understand. And what I do is I teach people, don't resist it. Don't fight against it. It's okay. You're in a safe space. You can talk about this. You can let it go. Let it all come out. And when you do that, you will feel so much better about yourself. And you will, the desire will subside You will no longer want to go out and do that. You will no longer want to go out and harm anyone. So it's really that simple, and this is completely obvious when you look at it. If something isn't working, you just do the opposite of what you're doing. It's as simple as that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you understand it already. It is common sense. If you have these thoughts, these fantasies, I mean, you've already done it yourself. You're watching my video right now. Instead of going out and trying to change them or do something to them, instead, what have you done? You've gone within. And you've decided to watch my videos instead of doing that. This is where we differ with narcissists, because they don't do that. Instead of going within, I say, no, if I can just change this, change that, move this here, move this there, it's like a game of chess. If I can just move everything around outside of myself, then I can feel better inside temporarily. But it doesn't last, and that's why the stalkers eternally, 24/7, they'll always be that way. Fascinating, I know, but this is a reality. Unfortunately, this isn't just some idea in their heads. I could only wish that it was. This is something that they actually go out and do in real life. But you can find pleasure in these thoughts, in these fantasies, in your imagination. Yes, you can find pleasure in doing that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But also practice control, self-discipline, and know when to let these fantasies go and move on with your life. It can be a part of the healing process. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Don't let them guilt you. Don't let them shame you. If you are reading these books, 50 Shades of Grey, whatever it is, yes, I would have had a different opinion before, but in actuality now, I can honestly say that is fine. It's okay as long as you don't let it get out of hand. As long as you're not putting yourself in situations where you're wanting to go out and rape or harm someone, or you want someone to do that to you. Of course, with everything, we have to know when to draw the line, when it becomes toxic and unhealthy, these types of things. So yes, of course I understand this is a very deep topic. It's maybe something a lot of us don't really want to talk about. But as you know, I am a truth teller. I will just go out and say things as they actually are. That is healthy. That is the normal way to do things. We haven't got to cover it up and not speak about these things, because we don't have to be full of shame. Like narcissists, we don't have to be like that. We can let the shame go. We can practice acceptance, see things as they actually are. It's fine, it's normal. Yes, we've just talked about rape, BDSM, tying people up, chaining them, murder. So what? What's wrong with that? And now we're going to let these things go, these fantasies, and we're going to go out and move on with our lives. Because that is the normal thing to do. That is the healthy thing to do. The wrong thing to do is to bottle it up and feel all of this pressure, like you've got to hold on to it because it's something you need to process your emotions. It's a natural part of the healing process. But at the same time, they put the finger at you. You're bad, you're wrong, you're crazy. Now I got to stalk and harass you. Nah, we don't do that. That is not the right way to do it. And we will continue along this path towards our healing journey, because we know that that is the right thing to do. The right thing to do is not to bottle up these emotions. No, the right thing to do is to process them and to become healthy, strong people who love ourselves and love other people as well. That is the correct thing to do, and we will continue to do that on this channel. We will continue to talk about these things so that other people can heal. because I think we can all agree we just don't want to stay stuck. We don't want to be stuck in a reality that is not serving us, where we're not moving forward, where we're not becoming better. So yeah, that's all there is to it. Just looking through the live chat here. Let's see what people are saying. Chris, you're slipping. I didn't think I was slipping. But don't worry, I'm still here. I haven't fallen off yet. Classy Cat's Den says eyes are one of my weaknesses. And unfortunately, most narcs have deep eyes. Yeah, there is definitely something about the eyes in narcissists. I don't know why, but for some reason, I think most of the narcissists that I've seen, especially when they fly into that narcissistic rage, their eyes become very wide, black, dark. It's like there's no life in their eyes. Like they're just operating from that reptilian part of their brains. They're just trying to fulfill some sort of need, and they're very desperate to do anything they can to obtain that. But as we know, even if you do try and fulfill their needs, it's never enough. They're never satisfied anyway. Dave Google says, Chris is awesome. No BS here. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because this is what it's about, really. I mean, you know, we live in these narcissistic, even psychopathic societies. And the reason why is because of the shame. People are pushing away the shame. They don't want to talk about certain things. And it's not good. The more we continue to do this, the more that the shame will grow, and people will become even more psychopathic as they continue to try to dodge the shame. And people like us will continue to blame ourselves for things that we were not even the cause of. The correct thing to do is just to come out and talk about these things. And if there's something wrong, if there's a problem, then we figure out how we're going to fix it. It's as simple as that. You don't have to go around attacking people, doing all of these harmful things. There's just no need for that at all. Dave Google, yes, narcissists don't live in reality. And again, that's because of the shame. If you want to live in reality, you must let go of the shame. The problem is, it's already gone so far, and they know it. They've done so many things wrong. So many skeletons in the closet. They just can't let it all go. They can't accept it themselves. You think you can't accept them, they can't accept themselves. But I will admit, you know, it's not such an easy process. Of course, as we all do, or as we should all do, I have looked back through my past, and of course there were things where I look back and I think, why did I say that? Why did I do that? And of course we have to look back and realize we were a lot younger then. We weren't so wise, we weren't so knowledgeable, we didn't have much experience. A lot of us, we were surrounded by narcissists. We were sheltered, we were raised in this bubble. So of course that's the obvious reason why. There is no other reason for it other than that. It's really that simple. But narcissists, for them it's a different story. It's not because they were innocent and naive, no. It's nothing to do with that for them at all. Everything they do is calculated, is premeditated, it's thought out beforehand. How do you justify that? How do you explain that? Of course, they can't. If they come out, then what do? We just have to put them all in jail. You know, there's no escape for them. The only thing they can do is continue to relish in their shame as it continues to grow within them, and they try to deflect it onto you or someone else, and they continue to become even more narcissistic, malignant, and psychopathic. And it just gets even worse, where it's just impossible. It becomes even more and more impossible the more that they continue on that path. It's too late for a lot of them, it really is. Once they've engaged in this type of calculated and premeditated behavior, there's just no going back for them. And a lot of times there's just no incentive for them to do the right thing. Looks like there's a lot of trolling in the live chat there. People asking, are you a narcissist? Take off your glasses, let's see your eyes, all of these things. Well, I'd like to set an example for that, and the best thing to do when people come out with these accusations against you, I mean, obviously, what's going to happen for you after you've been through so much narcissistic abuse yourself, all of these things you've had to go through? If someone tries to twist it on you and call you the narcissist, the first thing that's going to happen in your mind is, after the years of abuse, everything you went through. I know a lot of you, myself, I have a lot of discipline, self-control, as you can see. A lot of you will snap. You will snap and you will be like, what? I'm the narcissist? It will feel like an attack on your reality, because you know yourself, you know what you went through, you know what you had to deal with, you know you did everything in your power to make things right with them. So if they turn around and they call you the narcissist, of course, it will hurt you, yes, and it will make you very emotional. Because following the abuse, you want to have that discipline and self-control. So, to set an example, if they try to call you the toxic person, the narcissist, just don't even respond. You don't even need to answer that. But what you can do is look within yourself, which is what I do all the time. Of course, I self-reflect every day, hours and hours every day. I'm self-reflecting right now as I'm making this video. And yeah, the best thing to do is, and this is actually a great thing you can do with them, if they do call you the narcissist or toxic person, just say, okay, what if I am? What can I do to change it? What can I do to make things better? See what they say. It'll probably be something superficial where you have to give them money, you have to give them more of your time, more of your attention. Even if you spend every day with them and you've already given them your entire life, trust me, it will never be enough with a narcissist. And that is why they call you the narcissist, because they just want more of you. They just want you to invest more of yourself. When, as I said in my video yesterday, you've just got to write down in a notebook, write down all of the things you've done for them, all of the things they've done for you, and yet they're the ones calling you the narcissist. Does that add up? Does that make sense? I don't think so. But of course, even if you have all of the evidence in the world and you give it to them, they're still going to gaslight you, because the only other option is for them to say that, yes, they are the ones who are narcissists. So there's not going to be anything grounded in reality. You can have all of the evidence in the world. It's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make any difference at all. Which is why, yes, the reality will continue for a very long time. For forever. They're always going to be that way because they have to live in denial. They cannot deal with the shame. So what? Thank you for the donation. I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, that is a great topic, a good question as well for a lot of you. I have done some videos on that. You know, I know a lot of you may be thinking about that right now. You may be thinking, if you are the narcissist, because I know myself, if you are an empath or a codependent, you are someone who reflects and feels the shame, and like a narcissist who deflects it. Ironically, you may feel like it's you because you're feeling the shame. But it's a catch-22, because if you're looking at yourself and you're asking yourself, am I the narcissist? And you're feeling the shame, clearly it's not you. Because narcissists don't feel their shame, they deflect it. Instead, they're going to be like, am I the narcissist? No, you're the narcissist. Or they're going to mock you, and they're going to try and shame you. That's all they can do. It's always the person who's trying to shame you. That is the narcissist. It's not the person who feels the shame. So those of you who are watching this right now, don't worry about it. If you feel bad, if you feel like, oh no, what if I am the narcissist? If you feel that, if you feel the shame, don't worry, it's not you. It's 100%, it is not you. It's the person who deflects the shame. If that is your immediate instinct to deflect it, rather than to go within, feel the shame, self-loathe, heal and process it, of course it's not you. So thanks again for the donation. Just going to show this beautiful view once more. You can see the city in the back there. I don't know if you know, but that is the second tallest building in the world. And I don't know if you know, but this is the world's favorite cat, Nala. The one and only, the world's greatest. She's just rolling around, having a good time. But yeah, that's it for this video. Talking about stalking, gang stalking. A lot of information in this one. I hope it helps. And as always, I will have more videos very soon. Please give it a thumbs up down below. share it, subscribe, and you all have a great